Welcome to CinePro, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. Our movie begins with a child named Daniel and his brother running around their house, and behind them is an injured person asking for help. Daniel reaches a closet and hides his brother in it. Bella finds the injured person and tells him to leave the house immediately. Daniel informs his family of his location, and people appear with weapons. They sense the injured person, accompanied by a woman in a wedding dress screaming about her injured husband, Charles. She calls for help from her wife, Helen, but her family prevents her. They shoot Charles with another arrow, take him to a room, and lock him inside. 30 years later, the bride, Grace, appears on her wedding night with Alex in his family's palace. She is preparing for the wedding, and Alex reassures her, telling her that the family and guests are waiting. Alex gives her one last chance to escape with him and avoid becoming officially part of his family, the Le Domas family, known for their game empire. Grace expresses her love for him and willingness to accept his family for his sake, despite knowing they are strange and believes she is after Alex's money. The wedding is successful, and after they go to their room, Grace sees Alex's aunt, Helen, standing there. Helen tells Alex there is no time, and the family is waiting downstairs. Alex explains to Grace that it is a family tradition to play a game when a new member joins them. The game is chosen by drawing a card from a set of cards created by the family. Alex warns her that the family values this tradition more than the wedding itself. Alex goes to his father, Tony, who asks him what he would do if the card chosen was for the most dangerous game. Alex does not answer. Grace joins the family in the music room, where she meets her mother-in-law, Becky, who thanks her for bringing Alex back into the family. Emily, Alex's sister, and Daniel arrive with Emily's husband, Fitch. The family gathers around a large gaming table, and Tony tells the story of Victor, his grandfather, who started the family's card game business during the war. Victor met a man named LeBay on a sea voyage. LeBay challenged Victor to open a locked box before the ship reached the port. Victor succeeded, and LeBay granted him his first project, which became the foundation of the family's wealth and fame. Since then, every new family member must draw a card from the box to determine the game they will play. Grace draws the hide-and-seek card, which Daniel and Alex recognize as the most dangerous game. It is the same game Charles played 30 years ago, which led to his death. Tony explains the rules to Grace. She must hide anywhere in the house, and the family will search for her until dawn. If they do not find her, she wins the game. Surveillance cameras are turned off to ensure fairness. However, all the doors of the palace begin locking automatically, and the family starts counting from 1 to 100 before setting out to find Grace inside the house. Meanwhile, Grace rushes to hide from them, and the rest of the family arms themselves with weapons mounted on the walls. Grace sneaks into the dumbwaiter in the dining area, hiding and waiting to win, but eventually gets tired of the hiding game and decides to head to her room. There, Alex pulls her inside quickly to warn her about what's really going on with his family. Before he can finish explaining, Beyoncé, the nanny of George, Emily's son, comes in looking for the child and enters the room, forcing Grace and Alex to hide. A moment later, the nanny walks back out and is immediately shot in the face by Emily, who mistakes her for Grace. Emily calls her father in a panic to report what happened, and he scolds her, saying she should have aimed for the body, not the face, since they need Grace alive for the ritual. He quickly drags the nanny's body out of the room. At that point, Alex gets up from the floor and tells Grace that she unknowingly chose the only dangerous card in the entire game, hide and seek, and that now the family must kill her before sunrise, or else the curse of Mr. LeBay will strike and kill them all. He explains that had she married him and refused to play, the curse would have killed her anyway, just as it had with his uncle and his wife, and also his cousin. He advises her to move through the servants' corridors until she reaches the kitchen, while he will try to unlock the doors for her. But Grace exits through the wrong door and ends up trapped between Helen and Tony on one side and Emily on the other. Emily, who is almost completely drunk, fires her gun wildly and misses every shot, allowing Grace to flee. While trying to find a weapon, Grace encounters Daniel coming out of the servants' corridor with a drink in hand. He tells her she has 10 seconds to run and admits he saw her, but clearly has no real interest. In the deadly game, after a moment, he calls the family and claims that although he saw Grace, she escaped. Meanwhile, Grace is in tears, having lost her gun and left defenseless. Fitch, Emily's husband, gives her a crossbow to use. While they discuss their next move, Another nanny comes in to report Grace's location, but before she can finish, Emily, in another blunder, fires an arrow that flies into the nanny's mouth. She breaks down crying, devastated that she's only managed to kill the nanny. Realizing time is running out, the family decides to activate the security cameras to track Grace. At the same time, Grace reaches the music room, grabs a weapon from the wall to defend herself, and makes her way toward the kitchen, and hides in it, as Alex advised, but encounters the cook and hides from him. Meanwhile, Alex tries to help Grace escape by unlocking the doors and turning on the cameras and lights. However, the cook blocks the exit door and reveals that the ammunition in his weapon is fake. Grace throws a tea kettle at him and escapes. Tony finds Alex in the surveillance room. Realizing his intention to help Grace escape, he knocks Alex unconscious and ties him to a bed, accusing him of betraying the family. The family discusses how Alex was distant from them until Grace brought him back, and they believe he loves her too much. Grace, overhearing everything, hides on the palace roof and eventually jumps into the garden, running until she finds a stable. There, she encounters Georgie, who appears harmless at first but turns out to be as deranged as the rest of the family. Georgie shoots Grace with a gun, but she fights back, injuring him. Grace continues to flee, finding herself in a stable near the bodies of all those killed in the palace, including Charles, Helen's husband, who was murdered 30 years ago. She keeps trying to climb up with one hand on the broken ladder in front of her until she finally reaches the top and tears a piece of her wedding dress and wraps her injured hand and runs towards the palace wall to escape from him. Sherry, Danya's wife, notices her, and she tells them that she ran towards the forest. The cook ran after her to chase her, and he informs them by phone. He's able to reach her, and they attack her, but she scratches his face, escapes from him, takes his car, and drives away. She calls the car's customer service to contact the police, but the customer service informs her that the car is reported stolen. So he disables the car, cutting off its power. She remains seated in the car, hoping the police will arrive, but she finds the cook next to her. He breaks the car windows, shoots her with anesthesia darts, moves her to the back seat, and calls Tony to inform him that he has finally captured Grace. He is thrilled about her capture. Grace wakes up from the anesthesia, tries to move, and hits the cook, causing the car to flip over. He sings to her briefly, and she regains consciousness, attempting to escape the car. However, she encounters Daniel, who strikes her again with a gun and transports her to the palace. Tony watches as Grace is brought to the palace, where preparations for her sacrifice are underway. Everyone is dressed in specific attire, and Grace is tied up in front of them. They drink a particular concoction, and Daniel pretends to be drunk with them. Unbeknownst to the others, Daniel had poisoned their drinks, rendering them temporarily incapacitated but not dead. He quickly frees Grace to help her escape. At the same time, Alex manages to escape from his room where he was tied up. Daniel and Grace flee the room, but Daniel's wife, Sherry, pursues them with a gun. She threatens Daniel, demanding he leave Grace behind for the sacrifice. When he refuses, Sherry shoots and kills him. Grace retaliates, striking Sherry and escaping. Tony tries to stop Grace from leaving, but she grabs a flashlight and hits him with it. She throws the flashlight aside and falls into the curtain, where she encounters Becky. Becky insists that Grace must die to save her family, prioritizing her children and husband over her love for Grace. Grace manages to reach a toy box and uses it to attack Becky, striking her repeatedly until she kills her. Alex enters after Grace has killed his mother and informs her that Daniel is also dead. He vows not to let his family perish because of her. He alerts the remaining family members to kill Grace and complete the sacrificial rituals before sunrise. Helen hands Alex a knife to stab Grace. However, Grace escapes and stabs Alex in the shoulder instead. As the sun rises, the entire gang becomes fatigued, awaiting Lobel's revenge. One by one, they succumb to the curse due to their failure to kill Grace before sunrise. Grace notices Lobel's ghost seated on a chair, realizing that everything they said was true. She leaves the house as it burns behind her, with all the Domus family members dead. Grace sits on the palace stairs as the sole heir to the La Domus. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all new updates. See you in the next video. Goodbye.